Hello, I'm Dan from SE Rentals and Sales, and today we're going to be taking a look at our 2022 Dutchmen Kodiak 27 SPH. Today, just like always, I'm going to be giving you the full walkthrough of the exterior and then the interior, so you'll be all set and prepared when renting from us. In terms of the length and height of this trailer, it is going to be 32 feet long, and the height we like to say is 12.5 feet. That gives us a little bit of extra space up top, so watch out for places like parking garages and drive-thrus and tunnels. We're going to start off in the front of the trailer here. We have just two standard 20-pound propane tanks. These should last you a couple of weeks or so before you have to refill them. If you do have to refill them, truck stations and campsites will do that for you. But your propane is going to be powering things like your stove, your hot water, your furnace, as well as your refrigerator when you're not plugged into a campsite. Behind that, we have our house battery. The house battery is going to be for very minor electrical things like your lights, your awning, your slide out. So you can keep this on. The switch for that to turn it on and off is going to be right here. But the house battery will be charged in many different ways when you're plugged into shore power at your campsite, or even when you're plugged into your vehicle and the engine is running. So you can just leave that on. Your house battery should not die on you unless you plan on walking away from your RV for several days at a time. We'll continue on with the driver's side over here, starting with this big storage area that'll go all the way across. And this is also where we've placed all of the hoses and cords that we'll provide you during your rental. First, we have our sewer hose. I'll show you more of this once I show you how to dump out the waste tanks later on. Next up, we have our power cord. So this RV takes 30 amp service, so you want to make sure that whatever campsite you're going to has 30 amp. But once you're plugged in, all of the major electrical appliances inside will work. That'll be your AC unit on the roof, your microwave, your TVs, as well as all of your outlets. Next up, we have this little bag over here where we've placed a few more things. We have this white hose here. This is our fresh and city water hose. I'll get to all of these where you'll plug them in later on. Then you also have your black wire. This is your TV cable. And then you also have a 30 amp to 15 amp adapter. So you can plug this onto the end of your power cord, just like so. This is just like a regular wall outlet. Although if you are plugged into 15 instead of 30, some things might not work. For example, the AC will be too powerful if you're running on 15 amp. And in here you'll also see we have the hitch wall, sway bars. We also have a manual crank for the jacks, although they are automatic for this rental. Over here we have our water system. We're near the back of the driver's side now. So we have two little inlets here. We have our city water inlet. I'll start off with this one. If you remember the white hose I showed you, you're going to hook it up in here. This will be when you're at a campsite and you want to take their water instead of your own. So when you're hooked up to city fixtures here, this will bypass the water tank on your trailer, and this will go straight into your pipes. So in other words, you hook up in here when you're at your campsite. Next to that, you have your tank flush valve. You won't have to worry about this. It just helps us sanitize the tanks for the next customer. Next to that, we have our power cord connector. So you're going to take the 30 amp power cord and you're just going to hook it up in here, hook up the other end at the post at your campsite, and then you have all of your electrical. All the way in the back of the driver's side, we have our dumping station. So this will be how we dump out our black and gray waste tanks. So all I've done is I've taken the sewer hose that we'll give you, I've hooked on the end with the teeth onto this outlet here, and then you're going to stick the other end in your sewage wherever else you're dumping. From there, we have two valves. We have our gray valve on the left. This will be for your sink and shower wastewater. And then we have our black valve over here, the black tank. This will be for our toilet water. So right now they're pulled out, which means they're open. So if there were anything in the tanks right now, they'd be coming out into the hose here. But we recommend you open up the black one first, and then the gray tank valve next to kind of flush out, clean your hose. There are gauges inside on the control panel that will tell you the levels of all of these tanks. So once they're empty, you can push them back in to close them, unscrew your hose, and you're all good to go. Now we're going to move on to the back of the trailer. The only real things to point at here are our spare tire, of course, and then we have our hot water exhaust. So of course expect it to be hot and don't put your hand there. And now onto the passenger side, we have a compartment here. This houses our outside refrigerator. The outside fridge will only work if you're plugged into your shore power at your campsite. Below that, we have our switch for the jacks. So these are automatic. Just press extend and retract just like that. These are going to run on the house battery. So we have two in the back and then two in the front. Next up we have our freshwater inlet. So you're going to use the same hose as you would for the city water, that white hose. As opposed to the city water, however, this is to fill up your tank itself. So if you are parked somewhere where you don't have any kind of hookup, you're going to take water off of your tank, of course, and this will be how you fill it up. Next up here we have our TV cable inlet. So this will be where you hook up your black wire. And above that we have some regular power outlets for the outside. You just want to make sure that you're plugged in with your power cord to your campsite to shore power for these to work. And next to that we have our furnace exhaust, so of course expect it to be hot and don't put your hand there. And now on the front of the passenger side we have our switch for the front two jacks. And we have the other end of the long storage compartment here. So that concludes the outside portion of this walkthrough. We're going to head inside here, starting with opening up these entry steps. You just pull on this little bar here, slowly, and then you can take the second step and just bring it down like that. And then the other way, of course, you start with the bottom step, bring it up, and start from the bottom and push it up in, just like that. You'll notice that on the door here, we have a detachable screen door, just like that. As I enter the trailer, we have a few things to note. We have our fire extinguisher at the entrance. We are also equipped with a smoke detector and a carbon monoxide and propane detector inside the trailer. We also have a combined fuse box and circuit breaker box over here. We'll provide you with some extra fuses during your rental. I'll get to that later. I'll start with the levels here in the middle. So as I push down on each of these buttons, these will light up from empty to full. So for example, fresh is our fresh water. I'll push that down and you can see that that is at empty. We have our battery, that's our house battery. I'll hold that down, you can see that goes up to full. We have our black one, that is our toilet, so that's empty. And then gray one is our sink and shower waste. I can hold that down, you'll see that that says empty as well. You won't have to worry about black 2 or gray 2 since there's only one bathroom. We also have lights for the porch, that's the LED strip for the awning, and the ceiling lights are the entry lights right here. To the left we have our water system, so pump will turn on our water pump. So as I switch this on, this will help you draw water from your tank. If you're plugged into city water at a campsite, however, you want to have this off since you're using the campsite's water and their pump instead of your own. When it comes to heating up our water, we can either use propane gas or electricity if we're hooked up to our campsite. So if you're not plugged in, you'll use propane gas. We'll just flip this on. It'll take up to 10 to 15 minutes either way to heat up your water, so you only want to have it on if you're using it, so you're not draining that propane. To the right we have our switch for the awning, so this is going to run on the house battery. I just hold this down just like the stabilizer jacks to extend it and retract it. The awning is going to go about 8 feet total, and it's only for shade, so if it gets windy or rainy, you should bring it back in immediately. The glide switch is for our slide out, which is out already. So this is the RV. When the slide out is fully out, this is the biggest amount of space you can get inside. Just like the awning and the jacks, the switch here is also going to run on the house battery. Now that we're on the inside, I'm going to start at the back of the RV. So we have 2 bunk beds here with a privacy curtain that goes across. To my left here we have our bathroom. So the toilet is kind of like an airplane toilet. There's just a pedal down here you push down to flush down your toilet. Of course, you want to make sure that you have your water pump on or you're plugged into city water at your campsite. The toilet paper is RV specific, so you want to make sure that you are equipped with RV Marine dissolvable toilet paper, which you can get at the camping section at Walmart, or campsites will also sell it. We also have some bottles of solution. You can pour just a bit of it down the toilet whenever the smell comes up from the black tank. Apart from that, we have a standard sink and shower. Right outside the bathroom we have our thermostat. So all I have to do is just keep pushing this button to cycle through the different modes. So right now the system is off. I'll press it once, it'll go over to fan, so it'll just engage the fan on the ceiling. I'll press it one more time, now it's on cool, this is our AC. I'll push it one more time, it'll go over to the furnace. So the furnace is going to run on a bit of your house battery and a bit of your propane. So you won't need the generator for the furnace, but you will for the fan and the AC. To my right here, we are starting off with our living area. We have a TV up top here, and then below that we have an electric fireplace. And behind all that, we have a bit of pantry storage. Next, we'll move on to our kitchen area, starting off with the fridge. So the fridge is going to run on propane when you're not plugged in, and when you do plug into your campsite, it will automatically switch over to electricity. So no matter what, your fridge will be kept cool during your entire rental. Next up we have our microwave. Again, as a reminder, this will only work if you're plugged into your campsite. Below that we have our stove. It has 2 burners here. So all you want to do is just set it to high, just like that. Same goes for the other. And then we also have a nightlight here. And we have a big standard kitchen sink, just like this. On the driver's side, we have the rest of our living area with our couch and our dinette. These will both turn into beds, and I'll show you that, starting with the couch. Now this couch actually has some recliners. You're just going to pull on this lever here, just like that. To turn this into a bed, it's very simple. You just pull it up and out like a futon. For the dinette, we have a separate table. So you just want to push up on these hinges right here, and then these will close in for both legs. Next, you can rest the table onto these ledges, just like this. And lastly, we can arrange the cushions in this format, and here is our bed. For the windows, you just pull these out, just like that, except not the whole way, because then it'll come out as an emergency exit. But for the blinds, you just pull on it once, and then tug on it again to bring it back up. In the front of the trailer, we have our master bedroom with a sliding privacy door. So this here is our bedroom. We of course have a large bed with windows on either side, plenty of storage up and around. We have some lights, a skylight as well. We have our own TV, and we have some storage with some poles so you can hang your clothes on either side. During your rental, we'll provide you with this envelope here. This will have a bunch of useful things, starting off with an online guide / FAQ. This will answer most questions you have. If that can't answer your questions, you also have a 24/7 roadside assistance number via CoachNet. You can call this number, provide them with your reservation code that you'll have in your reservation details, and they'll be able to help you with your trailer or RV or motorhome, and they'll know what make and model you have as well. You'll also find the registration in this envelope, as well as some extra fuses for the fuse box. As far as the keys go, we have this purple key for our cabin door right here. We have a silver key for our outside storage compartments, and then you'll also have our own contact information here if you have any questions about your rental itself. And that will be all for our 2022 Dutchmen Kodiak 27 SBH. I'm Dan from Ace RV Rentals and Sales, and have a great trip.